Welcome, everybody. It's about that time. Mad Dog Radio. As you see, the new intro compliments T-Sibs. I don't know what he does, but he's awesome at what he does. Got to thank him. Throw a little shout out for him. This week, we'll be going over the standings and the power rankings as usual. Got a new team spotlight for you. Go over a little bit of the All-Star voting. And I also have a special guest with me, Philly fan from Toronto. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Or Philly's MVP, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get the names mixed up sometimes. Being in the shout box. But yeah, other than that, we got a good show going on this week. Stay tuned. All right, let's go right into it, huh? First this week, we got the Eastern Atlantic, as usual. Let's see. All right, so things have definitely changed slightly in the Eastern Atlantic. Hershey Bears are no longer having a 15 plus point lead in the division. Got the Hartford Wolfpack at number 2, coming off that hot streak, now only 8 points behind. Pulling up third is Bridgeport and Sound Tigers, 51 points. Thunderbirds, 50. Lehigh Valley Phantoms right behind them at 49. And then you got the Bruins and Wilkes-Barre, Scranton pulling up way last. They've been putting in a lot of forfeits. Philly, what's your take on this division?
This division finally got somebody to actually give a little bit of competition to the Hershey Bears, with the Hartford Wolfpack actually turning it up in the last 2 weeks. They're playing really good hockey. They're getting squeaky wins, which is, I mean, it's only a matter of time before they turn into losses. But right now, at least the Bears have somebody to look forward to for competing to try to take that first spot before the end of the season.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, as I'm sure everyone knows, I am AGM of Bears. So it was feeling a little bit too easy, I have to say, for most of the season. It's good to see one of the teams start putting some wins together. I know a lot of people say they've been just squeaking by their wins, and a lot of the teams they're playing were putting in a lot of ECUs and they were getting favorable matchups. But regardless of what you think and what happened, I mean, you still got to give props to a team who can string together that many wins in a row. And it really that really goes to show that maybe they just had a really rough start, and then that win streak put them back to maybe where they should have been all season. For the rest of the teams, the Sound Tigers, Thunderbirds, the Phantoms, and the Bruins, I mean, to me, all those teams are pretty much interchangeable at this point. Any team that hits any kind of a streak can pull up from third to fourth or drop down to fifth and sixth. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that, Philly, or what do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, that those bottom two teams in 3 and 4 spot, I mean, they could pretty much go any way. So, I mean, it's going to be like fun to watch down to the wire. I know a lot of people don't like the way that the playoff system's set up, where they're like, how can teams make it with a losing record, and it's going to knock out better teams. But I mean, the setup's the way the setup is. So, I mean, if it should be fun to watch Lehigh, Providence, and the Thunderbirds, and even the Tigers. I mean, they're only a point ahead of the Thunderbirds. Fight out for those last 2 positions going into the playoff race.
Right, and I mean, if you look at their last 10, what Tigers are 5-4-1, Thunderbirds 4-6, Phantoms 4-5-1, Bruins 3-6-1. They're all basically doing about the same. So if any of those teams gets their shit in order and can put in a 6-7 game winning streak, they jump up through the rankings, possibly to third, definitely probably a fourth spot.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's move on to the Eastern North. Lot more competition, uh, some would say. I think it would be hard to argue against that. I'll just do a rundown real quick. Got the Crunch on top, 76 points. Just recently taken over the Marlies, which is your team, Philly. They're coming in at number 2, 75 points, only 1 point behind. Senators is 70. Then there's a little dip here. Fourth place, you got Comets 60. That's 10 points behind third. Then the Americans right on the heels of the Comets, 3 points down. And then you got the Ice Caps and the Devils. Uh, not looking so hot. I mean, I'd hate to call them done. What's this week 7 or whatever we're going into, week 6? But I'd have to say the Ice Caps and the Devils, barring a miracle, are pretty much SOL at this point.
Yeah, I can't see them making it in either.
Well, you play in this division, Philly. Can you give me a little insight, man? I mean, I've gone against the Eastern North, I think, twice already, but you guys are go up against some more anybody else.
It's a really fun division to be in. I mean, all year for the most part, it's been a seesaw for first place. I mean, Binghamton's held it, Syracuse held it, Toronto's held it. Every uh every week, I mean, it's like one bad week puts you in the second or third place. If the other teams are having a decent week, it's been a lot of fun. Syracuse got a really good full team. I mean, a lot of people just look at them as Nazi and Lobo, but they have other players there that actually can compete with you. Binghamton, I would like to see what happens with them with the full meltdown episode that happened. So, I mean, like they're either going to go up or they're going to go down,
Right.
and then you got Utica and Rochester. Really, Rochester's actually the team to me right now who I think is going to take the fourth place and beat Utica for that fourth place in the division. They made some really good trades lately. They play really smart hockey. They take care of turnovers. Really, Rochester's one of the teams that scares me in my division fully. I think they're going to be in the playoffs this year, to be honest.
I have to agree with you. The Americans, to me, are really putting it together, and I love to see this kind of stuff where a team doesn't have a strong start to their season, but they don't give up. To me, that's the kind of players I want on my team, even if I am in first place or last place. Like I don't want guys that give up on me. So I have to tip my hat to the Americans. Their hard work may pay off. We'll see. A couple weeks to go. All right, moving on to the Western Central. Monsters still up top. Their lead seems to be getting bigger every week. I look at this. Now they have 86 points. Iowa Wild, number 2, 73. Moose right on their heels with 72. Griffin still holding down the 4 spot, 66 points. Got the Wolves climbing up from the cellar. 3 weeks ago when I started this show, I believe they were in last or right above last with the Ice Hogs. Now they're sitting at 5th, looking to steal a spot from possibly the Griffins. Checkers right behind the Wolves at 59, Admirals 53, and the Ice Hogs pulling up the cellar with 45. Um, I've played this division a few times. Uh, I've gone up against Griffins twice. They have a pretty solid team. The first time they beat us in OT, and we beat them I think by 1 last week. I got to say they're a pretty solid team. You can't just go into a game with those guys and expect an easy win like you're just going to run them over. Basically, any team in this division I wouldn't really call an easy win, except maybe the Ice Hogs, but they still play pretty tough. I've seen them sneak some wins in against teams that were rated pretty high. What's your thoughts on the Western Central, Philly?
It's a really good division too. I mean, like you got the Checkers, which I don't know what's really been going on with them lately. I mean, they put up what 3-6-1 in their last 10, which is not so good going into this time of the year. But I mean, early in the year, they were actually pretty solid team. They gave us a fight for a couple wins. The Iowa Wild is the team that I really like in this division. I think they made some really big trades lately. They have probably one of the best goalies in the league. Be Nice is incredible. So I mean, I would really like to see. I mean, I think that the Wild and the Monsters will be a really good divisional matchup, and I'd like to see what happens with this division. To be honest.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I'm really interested in the Moose right now. Like I didn't think they would hold on as well. Just shows, I guess, Vibes knows really what he's doing there. I mean, he's about to push for second. I know he claimed he was going to catch the Monsters a bunch of times, but I don't see that happening. The Monsters are a good team all around. Big Freeze. Say what you want about the guy, but apparently he knows how to manage a team. You know.
he he definitely takes advantage of trades and whatnot, and he makes teams work. I mean, they used a lot of ECUs this year, and their ECUs are just as good as their roster players, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it makes me want to play for Freeze just because I feel like he's going to surround me with a bunch of good guys. Anyways, moving on to the Western Pacific. Barracuda is still hanging on to the first spot. I wonder if they could do this for the whole season. I'd be curious to see. Rain, number two, 71 points. Stars, 66. The Heat, back and forth, 64 points. Goals right on their tail, 61. Only 3 points behind. Then you got a little bit of a drop off when you get to the Roadrunners. They got 52. And then the Rampage and Condors, kind of in the same boat as St. John's and Albany from the other division. They are a little bit too far behind. Pretty much barring a miracle, I would RIP these two teams right here.
Yeah, we just played this division, and I gotta say, like for the Rampage and the Condors both being that low with that little bit of points, they both played us tough. I don't think they're ready to like hang up their skates and just call it the year. I mean, the Rampage they beat or we beat them 2-1 this week, and they played us hard. Where we played the Rain and beat them 7-1, and they're on the top of the division. So I mean, this division has nobody's laying down and just calling it quits. The Goals, the Roadrunners, and the Condors all played us equally tough this week also. So it should be really interesting watching these guys fight for the last places coming into the next half of the season.
Right, and I mean that's good. I love to hear teams still battling because you never know what can happen in a season. I mean, take it from me. I was on the Wolves last season. Out the gate and midway through the season, everyone thought we were one of the top teams, and then we tied for a fourth place spot and then lost the tiebreaker. I mean, really, anything can happen, man. You just got to keep battling. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the standings this week. We'll move on to the power rankings this week. We'll power rank. I always do. Oh well. Anyways, here they are. For who's hot and forward, you got C. Farrell pulling up 3-0, 15 points, getting a medal, +8. You got the Magic Man from the Barracuda, 3-0 as well, 15 points, +8. It's identical records, and they both played right wing and left wing last week. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe if you play right wing and left wing during the same week, you have a great week, you know? Keep people guessing. And you got Elite Hockey God. He gets a medal, 3-0, 12 points, 11 goals, +10. It's a pretty nice week for any forward then. Then just going down through the line, the guys who are also hot but didn't get a medal, you got Steel 243 from Wilkes-Barre. Got the Big Peach 22, Lobo Dangles, no stranger to the list. Fist My Face. I always hate saying that name. Tommy Clutch 93, DeGraves from the Rain. You got from Syracuse, Leroy 420 FTW. Chicago's got Air Raiders, Rain, Risk 66. Chicago again, T-Janks. Chicago players up here this week, man. Had a solid week. From the Wolfpack, got Premier Player. Monsters, Goomba. Moose, Junior DC9. He was a Bear earlier this season. Good to see he's still doing well. You got Death Machine from the Ice Hogs. Math QC22 from the Sens. Nazi Two-Face, who you mentioned earlier, from the Crunch. And the last placed McNasty from the Rampage, going 3-0, +10. Not bad, man. Got anything to say about any of these guys on the list there, Philly?
No, they all belong up there. They all had good weeks. Um, Gumba's Gumbo's my boy, man. I got to give him a lot of props. I'm glad he's doing good over with the Monsters. We miss him in Toronto tremendously. So, good job, everybody on that list.
Yeah, you gotta tip your hat to those guys. I mean, even if you don't get a medal, but you end up on the list, I mean, you have to have a pretty solid week to end up on LG's Who's Hot list, especially on forward. I mean, I never played defense, but I'm sure it's equally as tough. Speaking of defense, we'll move on to the Who's Hot on defense. Uh, Number one, wow, never seen this name before. FBI underscore CIA underscore NSA underscore USA. That's a very interesting name. But
I don't even know who that guy
yeah,
is.
I never heard of him either. So that's sweet for him. Gets a medal, 3-0 plus 7. I always wondered how LG ranks this because if you look at the other guys who got a medal, you got Big Bad Wolfert from the Rain and Biggie Biggs from Stockton both get a medal. Well, Big Bad is plus 17 and Biggie Biggs is plus 14. Uh, Makes me wonder. I'm guessing the extra goal FBI scored gets them in it because the other guys both have 1 goal apiece and they all have 2 assists, except somehow Big Bad Wolford has 2.7. I don't know how you get point 0.7 of an assist, but you know, it's very interesting. But yeah, congrats to those guys. They all get a medal. They all earned it. I haven't seen Big Bad up there before or FBI, so kudos to them. Biggie, everyone knows he's a pretty solid defender in the AHL. Sweet for him. And moving on through the rest of the list, you got Steel City from the Wolves, Giant X, San Antonio, Cholesterol Bomb or C Bomb, as some people like to say, from Manitoba. I like C Bomb. He's a good guy. Buffalo Chuck, another guy I know on the Sens, 3-0. Got 2 Stockton guys right next to each other, Patty Ice and Mafia Rage. X Price 31 X from the Condors. That's kind of weird to see a Condor player up there. He must have had a great week.
Yeah.
Matt 139139 from Stockton. A lot of Stockton defenders on the board this week. Don't Know Me from Ice Hogs. You're right. Don't know you. From the Crunch, you got Crazy 757, Cuban from the Ontario Reign, Jay Morris from the Gulls, Hit by the Best from the Gulls. Wasn't he just recently traded? So that week he played would have been with Manitoba, if I'm not mistaken. Although it switched his team name, so that's a little tricky. Math Double 2 from the Wolfpack, and you got MG Sour Power from Utica Comets Troy. He had a highlight on last show's week with the sweet save for a D-man. And then Fat Joe to show opponent the rear on the Americans. I gotta say, man, the defense list, I always look at it and I'm like, what does it take? Because a lot of defenders don't usually score a lot of goals. I mean, if you look at the bottom, Jay Morris, he hit 3, or no, Hit by the Best hit 3 goals, but he's only plus 3. So, like, I wonder how they average that out exactly. No.
I haven't been able to figure that out since I joined the league.
I know there's like a section on the site that tells you, like, if you go look at it, it will break down how they, come up with whatever. But I don't know. Nobody's got time for that. And last but not least, we have the goalies. Shout out to Navy Nick from the Wolfpack. Big reason why the team went on their hot streak. He's 4-0 on the week, 1.44 GAA, 89.5 save percentage. And it's hard to beat a goalie who's shutting down 90% of your shots. That's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and then you got Dr. Oz pulling in a medal. Another good friend of mine. Like to see them doing good. Joe from the Roadrunners. It's a name for me. Had a great week. 31 saves, 1.75 GAA. Bit above 80% save percentage. Shout out to the other guys on the list who didn't get a medal. I'm not sure how you say this guy's name. Vizana, I don't know. Do you know how to say that guy's name from the Sens?
I believe he pronounces it Vesna.
Vesna. There we go. Thank you. Vesna from the Sens. Then you got the Monsters B Brawler, Dealmaker from the Heat. Moose. Got Domi there. Trash Clown from the Gulls. Craig from the Wolfpack. And the Wild Rick Stoneman. So 2 Wolfpack goalies on the Who's Hot list. Very
Yeah,
impressive. Go,
and that list doesn't make sense either. I mean, he's 2-0-2 in 10th spot with 2 goals against average, and Mello over on the Toronto Maple Leafs or Toronto Marlies actually. He went 4-0 this week against top teams. So I don't understand that list fully either.
yeah, the only thing that makes me think that he got on here for is just the volume of shots. Like if you look on all the guys on the list,
Oh,
he had the
gee.
most saves with 62. So
Yeah,
putting up at 86.1. That's impressive. I mean, I played goalie in this league when I was in season 2 in the CHL, and let me tell you, it's hard to keep that save percentage up there, especially with depending on your defense. Not they don't always help out like they should. Do you have anything else to put in on the power rankings for this week? Anything you want to say
no,
about any of
just
these guys?
congratulations to everybody on the list.
Yep, got like like we said, we don't know how they configure the standings, but congratulations for making it, right?
Exactly.
All right, now we'll go into the trade section part of the show. If I keep doing that, all right, here we go. Trades. Lots of them going down this week, huh, Philly?
Nothing big like I thought though. It's kind of been a boring trade deadline.
It kind of has. I mean, there's been a lot of trades, but it seems mostly like lower tier and backup players. Everyone's fighting for that. We'll just scan through the list, and if there's anyone you see that is a big name or feel like it's an impact trade, you let me know, and
All
I'll
right.
do the same. So Inception is going from the Sens to Wolfpack for Dysfunction and AA Lisco. Not really sure really any of those guys, and apparently over here it says Inception is active status only. I don't know. Apparently some kind of deal going on with Inception. Maybe he's not available to play games. Moving on. The Reigns trading for Evo, and I like to sauce for Eaglehawk and Hobson of Checkers. I know Eaglehawk, good guy. I know sometimes he likes to play Forcer. In fact, I think I played him last week, and he did a pretty good job of making sure I didn't score too many goals, which I was not a big fan of.
He's a great guy. He just played with us season 4 Toronto, and I actually think the Rain really took advantage of that trade. I really don't know too much about I like the Sauce or Evo,
Yeah,
but I know Hobson and Eagle are both very, very good, talented players. So
right.
it definitely made the Rain a lot stronger going into the playoffs and the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Like Eagle, I know for a fact Eagle is a pretty standout player when he's really focused. All right, so moving on. The Sens sending over Loincloth and Miguel for B Braves from the Monsters. So seems like a pretty just I want that guy. Here's 2 guy type of deal.
Yeah.
B Braves. He's a decent player. I really don't have nothing to say about him. Loincloth and Miguel, I'm not too familiar with. You know any of these guys, Philly?
Just Braves last year,
Right,
but he was a goalie. I would like to see how he does off of Freeze's team, see if he was actually being carried over there, or
right.
if he actually is a really good right wing. So we'll find out.
Yeah, it's hard to tell when you're on the Monsters because it seems like once you put on that jersey, your stats go up plus 20. So, um, here's a little bit of an interesting trade. The Wild sending over Tanger, Adonis, HK, Sivo, and Straight City Business uh, to the Barracuda. We're sending over Big T Buck and Blammo Guns.
It looks like a TC trade.
Isn't Tanger a starter? Is he on TC now? I know he's been in the league for a while.
Tanger has, yeah. The rest of the guys I never heard of though. I
I've
mean, not that they're not good. I just never really heard of them. So
I had Blamo Guns show up to a lot of trial games I ran before the season started. He seemed all right, but I mean, during those games, it's hard to see what everyone's got when you only play one or two games with them. I'm a firm believer you got to play like a bunch to really see what a guy's made out of. All right, so moving on. Wildson JTV 20 to Pens for Tanger. Obviously, they just traded in the trade before that, so apparently he was on the move a lot. Let's just skip through the list here a little bit. Mason Goslin going over to the Barracuda for the Frank show. Not really much to see in that trade. I think Goslin's a goalie. Optimus Primus for Doyers. Yeah, I could go either way with that trade too. Don't clear a winner. I'm not really like. I gotta agree with you. I'm not really seeing any trades that really like make me sit back and like, wow, like that's a killer move. It's all pretty even. I got to say the managers this season, no one seems to, as a lot of people call it, trape. you know, a trade rape. I haven't really seen too many trade rapes this season. Have you, Philly?
no, not really. I mean, it's been hard to get trades. It looks like, especially with the way the AHL bidding went, it was so high. Everybody's at like contract troubles. So if there's a good player for 500K or 750K, they're not letting them go. And unfortunately, that's not helping the better teams because they're already in contract trouble. So it's been hard.
Right. I'm about to get off the trade subject here, but I just seen one that caught my eye. Looks like the Monsters sent over a bunch of people I've never heard of. I've heard of Justin Knapp, but I can't remember why. But they traded all basically five guys for two, and one of them is Squall 227, and a third round sent to Columbus, or sent for Columbus to New Jersey as part of the deal. So basically, a bunch of TC guys and a third round to Albany for Squall and Epex. But I'll tell you what, Squall's a good player. I had him on my team season 2 with the Hamilton Bulldogs, and in season 4 with the Wolves, Chicago Wolves, and he's a good player. I mean, him going to the Monsters, just like I said earlier, that's like plus 20. Plus, he's already a good player. So, uh, if I was in that division, I'd be a little nervous that the Monsters are just adding more and more firepower. And apparently, Freeze, we said earlier, just seems to win on all of his trades and moves. Like no one's stopping this guy. you know?
He's not afraid to get rid of players to get players. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's extremely true. I have to agree with you.
Now, one trade looks like a decent trade too between the Wild and the Sens. Age Squad's a really good center. Vish is also a really good player. That could actually help out both teams completely. Vish is going to have new scenery, and Age Squad's is really dominant. So him coming over to my division is going to be kind of scary, especially on that Senators team.
Yeah, I'm glad you saw that one. I looked over that one, I guess. But yeah, I don't know too much about those guys. I mean, I've seen their names around the league, but I'll have to believe you on that. I know I've seen Vish and Aegis shoutbox a lot, and I've seen them put up numbers, so probably an even trade for both teams from at least what I can tell on that. All right, moving on from trades because I'm sure all the good trades are going to be tomorrow. You know, right at the deadline. That's usually when they do the best ones, right? All right, moving on, man. Just got some questions for you, Philly, man. I know you're on the Marlies. Believe it or not, I was a Marley for season one and season two, but they weren't very good then. They were actually really bad. I think at one point they were bottom of the league when I was the first time. I was actually a goalie on the TC at the time. But it seems like the scenery's changed. I just wanted to ask you, like, what's it like being on the Marlies now? The new revamped. I know you were on them last season, and you guys have been doing some work over there.
Yeah, I mean this season by far is one of my favorite seasons I played. Misa Don's an unbelievable GM. He's brought over a lot of guys that he knows from Xbox, and they mingled with us PlayStation players. Locker room's always chatty. Everybody gets along. There's been maybe one fight all year long, and that got corrected almost immediately. It's almost like a giant family over here. A lot of guys just either knew each other from previous years, or they know each other from other leagues, but everybody gets along. We all work together. There's a lot of times where you'll see like we got to change defense with the offensive because of availability reasons, and we just go out there to play. There's never a game that we think that we can't win. We go out and try to win every game. Obviously, that doesn't happen all the time, but when we do have a losing record for the week, which only happened once, I think, um, it's still upbeat. It's just everybody's like, let's go out and do it again next week, and it's been a lot of fun, like a lot of fun to play on this team. And like you said, you were on the team season one and season two. I was here season four and season five. Just looking at the records that the team had, I could tell that we didn't have a good Toronto Marlies team before us, and it's been a lot of fun. You got Apparition, who's been absolutely great this year. Deeds came over from the Condors to us. He's been turning it up. You have my defensive partner for 3 seasons, Berger. He's been absolutely phenomenal and sound on defense. Um, you have a lot of these Xbox guys that came over that Don brought in. Davy Donuts, a $6 million contract. He's worth every penny of it. He's absolutely elite at defense. We have Team Mel and Net. both Mel's been absolutely phenomenal this year. Um, it's a watermelon struggled this week for the first time all year. I think he went 0-4-1, which is kind of yuck. But we've been having a lot of fun with it. It's really been really fun this year, and I'm hopefully we can actually bring the Calder to Toronto, which I heard never happened. So see what happens.
Well, I could guarantee you it didn't happen season one through three. So, anyways, so I know you were on the team last season, and to me, I was surprised to what Poner was in charge then, right?
Yeah.
I was surprised to see him put together a decent squad. I always thought of him as more of an indicator type guy, so I didn't think he'd be able to hold the team together. So I was a little surprised. So I was wondering if you could just give me some insight on what the difference was between this season and last season, basically, with Poner in charge.
All right. Well, season four started out great. I mean, I think we started off the season 12-1. Um, we were doing really good. Poner and Buds didn't see eye to eye on everything. Um, Poner also likes to be in the spotlight a lot more than Mista Don does. So near the trade deadline around this time of the year, we were in first place, pretty much had first place all year. Poner made some scratch the head type of trades near the trade deadline,
All right.
which ended up making Melo quit, made a lot of different people not want to play, and the team kind of fell apart going into the last couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, I do remember the trades, and I remember the meltdown, and I remember him being in the shout box almost after every game, either defending or talking smack about his team. So
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. I remember when Mikey D had his radio show, I called that they would fall apart, but I called it a little bit sooner in the season. But I'm glad to see my prediction did come true. Just, to say, I was right. So
Yeah.
but I
And
mean, it sucks for the rest of the guys on the team. You guys were a really good squad, and you guys were first, not only first in your division, but first in the league for a long time in that season. I remember you guys were way up there.
yeah. And it just shows you make some bad trades, you can ruin your whole team.
Yep, I think he and Big Freeze both demonstrated that very well last season. Anyways, um, so man, I couldn't help but look after you said you would do the show. I took a peek in your player profile, see what kind of season you're having. And couldn't help but notice you're 15-3 plus 31 with 5 goals, 18 assists. Like, how? Give some other defensemen out there maybe aren't playing to that caliber. Like, how do you? What's your mindset when you go into a game? How do you put up a dominant performance to where you could have a 15-3 record as a defenseman? Because I know a lot of defensemen in the league feel helpless that they can't score the goals. So like, why aren't they winning the games? They feel like they're doing their part, or maybe there's something they're missing out on that could help clue them in. Or
I mean, I've been with Burger since season 3, so playing with like a defensive partner that you could trust really helps. Um, but the most thing I would tell like most defensemen is communication's key, especially with the goalie. I mean, we talk to our goalie nonstop all game long. We talk to each other all game long. We have little code words that we throw at each other, just so we know that we're on the same page. If we let up a breakaway, we'll come back, we'll take away the inside. The goalie reads that we take away the inside, and he'll stay on the strong post. Um, you gotta talk on defense. It's key, especially in the league, especially against good teams. You're always going to get EA goals. You're always going to get pucks that bounce over your stick or passes that go through you, and you just have to kind of keep yourself in those positions and learn from your mistakes as you're going. I know early in the season I got walked real hard in the beginning of the game. They scored a goal, and I made sure that never happened again. So you got to learn from your mistakes. You got to work on your mistakes. Talk to your team, and they give you feedback if they don't like the way that you're breaking out the puck, or if they don't like the way that you're playing in the defensive zone. They'll let you know, and you just take that as criticism as to make your game better. Don't take it as they're blaming you for the losses. And I think that's the biggest thing in this league is you say something to somebody and they'll just flip out completely. So just take criticism and just go out there and just think that every game you're going to win, regardless of who it is, who's on the other side. I go out, I never think I'm going to lose a game. And I just play to my strengths and we try to make things happen.
that's funny because you said right there. You said a lot of things that I usually preach to my teammates as well. Communication, going out there, acting like a winner, like your persona. Like if you go out there like, oh, we're gonna lose, we're gonna get our butts kicked, it's like you already lost half the battle right there. You already think you can't win, so you're probably not going to. Then talking to your teammates, like I don't know how many times I've been on a team where no one's talking during the game, and then like after the game there's like a huge argument. It's like, how do you guys expect to play together if you guys don't even talk, no practice? Like, I have to agree, man. You made some excellent points. I mean, you got communications key. Attitude is definitely everything. And then, like you said, sometimes stuff is just unlucky in hockey. Playing on ice, right? Puck bounces wherever. Do what you can, and then talk with your teammates. And if you do talk with them, try not to get upset if they're trying to offer suggestions. Different if someone, hey, can you help break out the puck, or I'll take this away, you do that, compared to like someone saying like, okay, you suck, you're a terrible player. Now, that's a good reason to get upset, but, hopefully your teammates aren't talking to you like that, because
No,
that's, if there's one thing I've learned in LG, the quickest way to kill a team is everyone to start talking shit to each other.
that's what happened on season 4. I mean, it turns cancer in the locker room, and then next thing you know, nobody wants to play, and you're not going to win games when everybody's fighting with each other, even in game. And I love Poner. Poner's a great guy, but he's known for that in past, and he's probably always going to be known for being that type of player where he's going to go out and he's going to tell you suck before the game. He's going to tell you suck during the game, and he's going to cause a lot of turmoil between the team. Where next thing you know, you have a bunch of players that don't want to play with each other.
Right, yeah, it's usually not a good thing. I mean, I have nothing wrong with being a big talker and, having a big ego, wanting the spotlight, but it's what you do with it when you're in it that counts. So maybe a little heads up for anybody who wants to be a GM or just be a big member on their team. Maybe that's not the attitude and persona you want to carry. All right, so moving on, man. Wanted to go over some All-Star voting with you, man. The All-Star voting's underway. I'm not really sure when it ends. I couldn't find any information on that, but I didn't really look that hard.
I believe the 16th, I was told.
The 16th? Wow, that's a long time. That's when the voting closes?
That's what I was told. I mean, it could have changed, but I believe I saw somebody write in a shout box that it was maybe that's when the All Star game's going to be. I'm not sure. There's something about the 16th.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go on your word for that, and then we'll call that the unofficial word because I'm not really sure. So, anyways, do you think you got any eyes out there and some guys who you think are being snubbed, or do you think everyone's getting the votes the way it should be, or think some guys warrant maybe a little more votes, or what's your take on it so far from what you've seen?
I mean, when you look at it, I mean, you got guys who are not as known. They might not go to the shout box, but when you play against them, you're like, wow, this guy's an absolute dominant player on the ice. And then you see him on the All Star votes, and he might play for the team like the Condors, and they're not really a high team, but this guy has a lot of talent. Maybe his numbers ain't showing it, and they're not really getting the votes that they deserve. I mean, I trying to think of like somebody off the top of my head that I saw. Um, G Pig, he's a defenseman for the Utica Comets. I think he only has like 19 votes. Played with the guy, played against the guy. The guy could play defense. I mean, he's a great two-way defenseman, and he has 19 votes. I mean, you're always going to have that in this type of voting challenge, but
Yeah, I mean, every team gets to nominate what, three forwards apiece, and then what, like two defenders and one goalie.
yeah,
There's 9 votes. There's a lot of people to pick from. Like you get 9 for a forward, what, 3 for defender, for goal. Yeah.
exactly.
So I mean, it's a lot of choices for forward. So I mean that can make it tough. And I'm sure people vote for their buddies, or people don't know. A lot of people vote for popular. Uh, I feel like some of the voting is going the way it should, and then some of it's kind of like a head scratcher. I mean, I know in my division, uh, Bears are kind of running away with a lot of the votes, which is not too surprising to me. Some of the Hartford Wolfpack guys are kind of hanging in there. But I mean, other than that, I gotta say it's pretty much going a little bit the way I thought it would. I know I tried to spread some vote love. But it's hard. When I pick up the category, I see a lot of people I like, and then some divisions, like say I get 9 votes, but I only use like 4 because I'm like I only feel like 4 guys deserve votes. Like I mean,
Yeah,
it goes either way. I guess I'm a little more particular with my votes, but I don't know how everybody does their voting. But if you haven't voted yet, get out there and vote. Help represent your team and players who you feel like have been doing good this season. I will say, uh, I just checked it now, and I'm at 68 votes, and Jack, the right wing on my team, is at 67. I know he's been talking in the shout box how he's going to beat me in votes. So good job, guys. Keep it up. Keep me ahead of Jack. Let's let's ruin his hopes and dreams of being the number one voted guy. So anyone's
You look at that. I mean, between the three Hershey Bears, the next closest is Sophia at the Horse Pack with 60,
yeah,
and then it really tapers off after that. So
it does.
and that's what a lot of people complain that the All Star Game's just a popularity contest of who sits in a shout box the most. I mean, I guess you can have that argument, but at the same time, I mean, Chowski, you, Jack, they're all Sophia, they're all inside the shout box a lot, but they're also putting up numbers. So
Right.
it's I guess I mean you could be J Rowe and I don't know what his points look like, and you could be in the shout box all the time, but if your numbers ain't backing it up, then you're not going to get votes either.
Yeah, I feel like guys do, kind of vote the people who should be in there. I mean, I'm not saying that once in a while someone sneaks in just because he's a popular guy, but most of the time, like last season, I felt like a lot of the point leaders and the better defenders were picked. You know, and yeah. So, anyways, we're about to close out with the highlights, Philly. Is there anything you want to add before we head off? I only got two highlights this week, so I mean, if there's anything you want to talk about or just address, I mean, now would be the time to do it.
Nah, I really don't have nothing too much today. I would really like to see some trades go down, some big trades. I like to see these bottom teams trade their better players to get into the playoffs. I like to see teams get better going into the actual season, and I would really like to see a lot of different teams start changing up their persona. And really, I think season five's been a lot of fun so far. It's for a summer season. Everybody's using a lot of ECUs. I hear that is the number one excuse of why they lost. But at the same time, you're using a lot of ECUs too. So it's I really am looking forward to the playoffs this year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the All Star game, I had more fun playing the All Star game than I did playing all the LGs. So hopefully we can get that going too. I hope there's a game. I hope that people start voting for who they want and play it. It was so much fun last year.
I gotta agree. I was in the All Star game uh, last year, and I was on one of the conferences or whatever that went down to the end. I think we lost, but it was still a fun time. Like, had a good time. It's nice to play with other top guys from other teams. It's good to see like because you don't always get to see these guys play all the time. I mean, maybe once when you play against them, if they even match up against you. So like when you play with them, good to see what other guys have and what they're table. See how it all meshes together when you put a bunch of supposedly high talented guys together.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, let's move on to the highlights. I only got two highlights this week. First one is for my goaltender. He sent it in. Big Moosey. He calls it the sexy AF save. I'm sure you could fill in the AF. But anyways, can you see the screen there, Philly?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, here we go. Let's run it. All right. So if I remember correctly, we go in the zone, lose the puck. Here they come. Get out to the middle guy. Cross crease. Bam. Moose. I gotta say, like watching it in fast motion, I don't have any way to slow it down, but let's just back it up. Not close enough. Still not close enough. There we go. Like, if you see this, like, I don't know how many times I've seen the same exact play, whether in a drop-in game or playing with other guys, but any play like that where it clearly goes cross crease and a guy one-tees it that hard, is usually a goal. I mean, I don't know about your experience with playing the game, but I don't see too many goaltenders making that save routinely. And I know that doesn't look like an incredibly difficult save, but to me, if you got a guy back there who can make that save routinely, then your team is definitely headed in a great direction. I've seen Moose make better saves than that, but I have to say this is a decent save. Definitely highlight worthy. Shuts down the 1T, gets it in the glove. I mean, not only he caught it in the glove, but even if the guy would have went high blocker side, he looked like he was in position for that too. Any comments on that one, Philly?
No, that was a great save. Great save. Defense could have played it a little bit differently, but that was a great save by Moose.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole story there. Love that. Love playing with that guy. I'll tell you what, after last season, I was on the Wolves and we went through a slew of goalies. I think we had 8, maybe 10 plus goaltenders throughout the season. And let me tell you, that's no way to live. There's no way to live, man. Anyways, moving on to the last one. If you haven't seen it yet, I believe it was posted in my thread where I'm asking for people to do highlights. And before I move on this next highlight, guys, this is your one chance to get your highlights out there, do some bragging throughout the league. You know, people watch the show, man. If you want to brag or you got a good play that you just want everyone to see, I know I appreciate watching them, and I'm sure all the rest of the viewers do too. But you got to help me out. You got to send them in. You got to get me more clips. I love the highlights. I love putting them on the show, but I don't have the time to go through however many their games there are in a week and look for the highlight plays. I mean, I got a wife, I got kids, I go to college. After that, I barely have time to do the show. So finding all the clips is tough to do. So just help me out. Make the clips. Send them in. You guys know what the good plays are. Help a brother out. Send in some plays, all right? If you're having a problem making a clip, let me know. I don't know if you know this, but if it's on Twitch, even if it's not your stream, you can make a clip off of somebody else's stream. So if you guys ever need help with that or whatever, ask me, Sibs, anyone pretty much on the media team should be able to help you out. But me and Sibs are probably your best bet as of right now. But yeah, make the clips. If you need help, get with me. I'll help you out. We'll start getting you on the clip making trail. That way we can put them on the show and everyone can see how great you are. Or, you know, whatever. So anyway, moving on. This is a pretty interesting clip. If I remember correctly, it's a pretty beast mode slap pass. So here we go. Providence versus Binghamton.
A big win. Let's see what happens.
There's a little bit of a back and forth here in the zone, if I remember. Yep.
As that pass off the boards.
D-man, boom. Nasty. I tell you what, when I'm a forward, I always enjoy when a D-man hooks it up with a sick slap pass like that. I don't know if you run that play much, Philly, but I tell you what, it's deadly, especially coming from the D-man. I know the forwards can do it too, but if you ask me, it's a little bit tougher to get the right angle when you're in the zone. But I feel like the D-men have a better chance at it. What do you think about that one, Philly?
I would love to have a forward that's in the right spot for it.
And there's the other side of the argument. Yeah, you definitely have to have guys in the right spot to do it. I agree. But yeah, that's pretty much it for us. Check in for next week. Well, if there's any big trades that went down that we don't miss from here on the Sunday, I'll go over them next week if I feel they're noteworthy. But pretty much, trade deadline closes out. Pretty much stuck with who you're stuck with for the rest of the season. Some teams need help. Some teams only need a little bit. Some probably don't need any. But yeah. So Philly, any closing remarks before we end this thing?
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show. I had fun.
Yeah, no problem, man. I enjoyed having you. It was a great time. Love having guests. If anyone else wants to be a guest on the show, just hit me up. Maybe if we can link schedules and things go down. I probably will be looking for a co-host sometime in the future, but as of right now, I just enjoying having the guests, man. I love to see all the difference in opinions and the point of views that everyone has, from the different teams and divisions. I don't know everybody, but it's good to hear people who know people I don't. Gives me more perspective, I guess. Well, with that being said, this is Mad Dog Radio, and we'll be signing out. I'll see you next week.